If you can hear the person above me vacuuming, I'm sorry, but they've been vacuuming for like 10 plus minutes and we literally live in tiny studio apartments. I have no idea what they're vacuuming for so long. So sorry if you can hear that, but I don't want to wait any longer. Hello everyone, it's Cassie and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be my November wrap up. I'm pumped to be bringing it to you guys. I keep seeing wrap ups for November where people said they had an awful reading month. I, for one, actually had a really good one. I finished my TBR on time and I even read an extra audiobook. I'm very proud of myself. I'm gonna give myself a pat on the back. There's no reason to waste any more time, so let's just get into the wrap up. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe and give it a big thumbs up. Both of those would mean the absolute world to me. Comment down below what you read in November, and if you've read any of the books that I read in November, let me know down in the comments below what you thought of them, what you rated them, anything. All that juicy stuff. Turn on post notifications so you never miss an upload from me, and my Instagram, Twitter, Goodreads, and Amazon wishlist will be linked in the description box below if you're interested in checking any of those out. And let's get into the wrap up. Also, make sure to check out my November reading vlog, which should be out this month. Currently I'm on a roll with editing, but I still have a lot of videos to edit, so I don't want to say anything, but like hopefully it'll be out this month. Okay. But anyways, the first book of the month, we started out on a high and I read The Mary Shelley Club by Goldie Moldavsky. If you don't know what this is about, it's about this, the main girl's name is Rachel. Did I say, was that English? The main girl's name is Rachel and she moves to this prep school because she went through something pretty traumatic at her old school. So she moved to this school. She has like one friend. She gets dragged to the party where there's a prank. Her reaction to this prank kind of makes her become a public enemy #1. But it also attracts the attention of the Mary Shelley Club, which is a pranking type of, they don't want to be called like pranksters, but it's basically pranksters where they conduct these things called fear tests, where they try and scare people and they go after one person individually and try and get them to be scared. She embraces this club and she actually feels at home at this club, and then suddenly things become deadly and become such higher stakes. When someone begins targeting the club itself, Rachel has to track down the killer, even if it means finally confronting the dark secrets from her past. I gave this a 5 stars. I absolutely love this. This was so freaking good, like amazing. One of my favorite YA mystery books now. The way this ended honestly leaves it open for a second book. I would run to pick up the second book if there is a second one. There is some like kind of heartbreaking stuff in this book as well, but it was super good. The twists and turns were great. I just had a great time reading this and like thoroughly enjoyed myself, and there was a couple times where I was like, it was actually like thrilling. So this is also kind of a thriller and I adored it. 10 out of 10 would recommend if you like YA mysteries, and if you don't, because I think this is a really solid one. Then I picked up The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, finally, and I also really loved this one. I ended up giving it a 4 stars, but like I put it as like 4 to 4.5. I really enjoyed it. There wasn't anything in particular for me that like brought it down. Like I couldn't name really why I don't think it's a 5 star, but it just was like a feeling. You know, it just felt like not a 5 star. This one follows Avery Grams, anything like that. And she is pretty poor until suddenly she gets the inheritance of this billionaire, Tobias Hawthorne, after he dies. She has to move into his estate and put up with his family, who just got basically disinherited because they all were expecting to get these billions divided between them, and then some random girl that they have no idea who she is inherited their grandpa's money. Mostly follows Avery and the 4 grandsons Jameson, Grayson, Nash, and I forget what the other one's called. You follow them because they see, or some of them see, Avery as their grandpa's last little puzzle to figure it out, because that's what he loved to do, create puzzles. Heir apparent Grayson is convinced that Avery is a con woman and he's determined to take her down, but his brother Jameson views her as their grandfather's last hurrah, a twisted riddle, a puzzle to be solved. Caught in a world of wealth and privilege with danger around every turn, Avery will have to play the game herself just to survive. I really want to read Hawthorne Legacy, but I got the paperback one of this, so I'm gonna try and wait until I can get the paperback of that, which might be like a year. But then I listened to an Audible original called Sweet Talk, and it's by Cara Bastone. I thought this was super cute, and it is technically part of a series, and this was the second one. It's not a series, I think it's like a series of standalones, I guess. So this one's the second one, so I'm going to read, I forgot to say this in my TBR for December, but I'm going to read the first one in December. Series is called Love Line. Call Me Maybe is the first one, so I'm going to read that in December. But anyways, Sweet Talk is this really attractive guy ends up texting this girl, and he texts the wrong number because he puts his numbers in, just puts in a bunch of letters, and it doesn't put their actual names in it. So he texts the wrong number at like 2 a.m. and this girl answers, and they end up having this really fun conversation, but she won't tell him who she is. They have this little game about him trying to guess who she is. He literally cannot figure it out from her voice, from anything. And they just have this really cute phone relationship, and I think it's adorable. Even the listener doesn't know who she is until later in it. It's only like a 5-6 hour audiobook. There's like hints, and then it starts getting like really obvious, so I think they try and like get you to figure it out. But yeah, they end up meeting at the end. I think that's pretty obvious, but it was just like a cute little romance to listen to while I was driving or whatever. I gave it 5 stars, and I'm really excited to listen to the next one. I wanted to listen to the first one in November, but I also just wanted to get my actual TBR done. So then I picked up The Dating Plan by Sarah Desai. This was a cute little fake dating romance where you follow Daisy and Liam, who Daisy had a crush on Liam in high school. He was friends with her older brother, but he was supposed to take her to prom, and he ended up just not showing up. And so Daisy and her family do not like him anymore. But they run into each other like 10 years later, end up doing this fake proposal, fake engagement, because Liam needs to be married by his birthday to get his inheritance from his grandfather. And in his inheritance, it's like not just money, because I kind of was like, he's just a money hungry guy, but that's not what it is. And then Daisy wants to get her overbearing family to stop trying to hook her up with literally anyone that they find. And then yeah, you can kind of guess what happens. There's actually a decent amount of like spicy scenes in here as well. It was just like a really cute book. I gave it 4 stars. Again, just felt like a 4 stars. Then I picked up the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. This is my second Grady Hendrix. I read The Final Girl Support Group in August. Yeah, I want to say August. And I am very conflicted about this book, quite honestly. Straight after reading it, I gave it 4 stars. But as I thought about it, I feel like it's a 3.5, but I feel more comfortable with having it as a 3 on my Goodreads, since you can't do a 3.5. So I put it as a 3. Like, I enjoyed this book. It was a solid book, and the things, in hindsight, the things that I don't overly love about this are definitely the horror elements, which is not the book's fault at all. Maybe I'm just not a horror person. I didn't overly know if I'm a horror person, because all I had read for horror before is, I think, Final Girl Support Group, and to me and to a lot of others, that was more of a thriller. So honestly, just like the scenes in here, I won't give anything away, but there's scenes with rats in here, awful. Blech. Disgusting. And then there's these scenes where I don't know how to say it without giving stuff away, but there's these scenes that are all to do with this one thing, and it just grossed me out and wasn't like vampire-y. So I guess if you don't know what this is about, it follows Patricia. She is just a regular housewives. This is set in the 90s. I think maybe it starts in the 80s, yeah. But mostly in the 90s, where there is this little book club where they read a bunch of true crime stuff, and that is like a kind of a found family type of thing, which I really enjoyed that aspect of this. But then there's this man that shows up. Oh, and there's a scene with a raccoon. Disgusting. Anyways, then James Harris walks into her life. During the summer of 1993, he makes her feel things she hasn't felt in years. But when children on the other side of town go missing, Patricia wonders if he's connected. Is he a Brad Pitt, a Bundy, or something much worse? So, to me, this wasn't really vampire-y. I'll say that. For this part of the title, wasn't overly vampire-y. I did just like enjoy reading this story. It was just those certain scenes that I was just like disgusting. Like I don't want to read those, and like they kind of made me uncomfortable, some of them. I know on Goodreads some people had some problems with racism and sexism in this book, and I totally understand what they're saying. I think with racism in this book, it was used because, I could be wrong, so I don't want to like act like I'm some super knowledgeable person, but it felt like it was used more as a way to like, because it is in the 90s and that's how it would be in the 90s, where I'll just like the kids from the other side of town that I just read are black, and it doesn't get a lot of attention, which is even still unfortunately like a thing now, but I think it was used as that. And with the sexism and all that, again, I feel like it was used to set the tone of the time, because like women were treated like that in even just the 90s, even some are still treated like that today, but like there was a lot of condescending like husbands and stuff in this. But again, I just think it was, in my opinion, the way I read it, again, the way I read it, it was used as a way to set the tone of the time. But I could be wrong, and let me know if you have any other opinions on that. I'm gonna keep it at a 3. Feel fine with it being a 3. Wasn't incredible, wasn't bad. I feel like it's one of those books where when I finished it, I was like, whoa, great, 4 stars. As I thought about it more and I talked to someone about it, I was like, And then the final book that I read in November was The Ex-Talk by Rachel Lynn Solomon. Rachel Lynn Solomon. This is about Shay and Dominic, and they're kind of enemies at their radio station, but until they are asked to do a show which gets called The Ex-Talk, pretending to be exes and talking about relationships and their fake relationship and giving out advice and all that on a radio show. As time goes on, they get closer, and then they realize maybe they don't hate each other, maybe they're not enemies. It becomes super popular, and it's kind of interesting because I don't know if this is a thing that happens. Probably. It also becomes a podcast at the same time. I maybe should have read this with an audiobook, but I didn't, and I still enjoyed it, so. But I would maybe consider, if you are gonna read this book, maybe like look into the audiobook, because there is the scripts and stuff for what they're reading off of for the radio show in here, so it probably would sound better like on audio, but I just didn't do that. I will say I did expect more actual radio time in this book. There's only a few. As the show gets bigger, so does their deception, especially when Shay and Dominic start to fall for each other in an industry that values truth. Getting caught could mean the end of more than just their careers. I gave this 4 stars. I enjoyed it. This is like a age gap romance where she's older than he is, but like she's only 5 years older than him, and they're both still in their 20s, and it just seems to be made a bigger deal in this. It keeps getting brought up in this when it doesn't even seem like a big deal at all to me. I mean, as I probably would never date a guy 5 years younger than me, but it just doesn't seem that big of a deal in here, but it keeps getting brought up, if that makes sense at all. Those are the 5 books plus that audiobook that I listened to in November, and I really enjoyed it. So I ended up with 2 5 stars, 3 4 stars, and 1 3 stars. That's pretty good. I feel like that's pretty regular to my reading months because I'm not very critical with how I rate books. Like, if you did not notice, I'm really not. So if you like this video, make sure to subscribe and give it a big thumbs up. Both those would mean the absolute world to me. Again, comment down below what you read in November, and if you've read any of these books, make sure to let me know what you thought of them as well. Turn on post notifications so you never miss an upload from me, because like I mentioned earlier, I am posting a lot right now, so hopefully that continues. My Instagram, Twitter, Goodreads, and Amazon wishlist will be linked in the description box below if you're interested in checking any of those out. I will see you in my next video. Bye!